Hello and welcome back to the Sex and Healing podcast. I'm your host, Erin, and thank you so much for joining me as we take a wild ride together through the realms of sex and healing. Today we are recording episode number 40, which is a fantastic achievement and also marks the end of season 2 before we take a break, a well-needed restful break. So this does seem to be the perfect topic today. We're going to be diving into the fact that you need rest, my friend. This came from something I shared on my Instagram stories, and then I did a little poll, and it was just outstanding how many of you were in need of deep rest. So we're going to be diving into that today, and I certainly hope that this episode serves as a giant permission slip for you to rest. So when we have a look at 2021, of which we've reached the halfway point now, which is kind of wild, it has been another intense year. We have been operating under a lot of chronic stress and uncertainty for nearly 18 months now. That's a really significant time for our minds and our bodies to be managing, really, these external stresses of which we have no control, we have no clarity, we have no insight. We have hope, of course, and intentions of what we'd like to see happen, but there's no certainty whatsoever. And that prolonged state of uncertainty really has a massive impact on us. We've all been doing the best that we can in our own unique ways. Oh, and I've got a little kitten on my lap, everyone. We have a new kitten in the family. We just rescued him this week. We're about to go into it's quite a gentle lockdown, but a 2-week lockdown here in Bali, and my intention was to get a kitten, and this is a perfect time to acclimatize him. So he's curled up on my lap right now. He's very talkative, so you may hear him purr or meow at some point throughout the recording. Oh, here he goes. He's waking up to the roosters. Hello, buddy. You want to say hi to everyone? You're a bit quiet right now. All right, well, you'll see plenty of him on my Instagram stories. He is currently unnamed, but he's here with us. So yeah, we've been in this crazy window of time. And I've been doing personal training for the last 18 months as well. And what I noticed was, as I was navigating a lot of mental and emotional stress this month, that my recovery at personal training was a lot slower. The amount of muscle soreness that I had from a very similar to workout to what I would normally do was significantly different. And when I brought that up with my trainer, he said, yes, of course. Like, stress is stress, and it has this cumulative effect. So no matter what's happening in our personal lives or how well we might be navigating it on a conscious level, we do have to bear in mind that we are in these incredibly unique circumstances for our lifetime. And that has a massive impact on us. So we have 2021 to contend with, and then we have to contend with the fact that we live in the patriarchy. I'm becoming more and more of a feminist every single day. Oh my God, you should see how the kitten is curled up and sleeping on me. It kills me. The fucking cuteness kills me. But yeah, I'm becoming more and more of a feminist as I journey deeper and deeper into my own femininity. And I'm recognizing all the ways in which I have been patriarchy washed. Is that an appropriate word? Brainwashed by the patriarchy. How many insidious little beliefs and patterns are inside of me that urge me to be more masculine. So we live in a very masculine-driven society where a lot of masculine qualities and achievements are glorified. And the feminine way of being and the feminine way of operating isn't. So we are cyclical beings as the feminine. For those of you that are listening that are feminine or identify with being feminine or have feminine bodies, we have hormone cycles that we are in a constant state of change and flux. But the masculine stays very consistent, and that's, you know, the essence of the masculine, and it's a wonderful thing. But when we as feminine identifying beings force ourselves to be consistent in a masculine operated world, and we don't honor our natural femininity, then we end up depleted very quickly. So when we think about feminine energy, it's a very nourishing energy, a very yin, very fluid, very changeable, but also very receptive. So the feminine energy draws towards it. It is the receiver, the receptacle, like our physical bodies are the receiver. When we're in feminine energy states, we draw things towards us. The masculine energy is outward directed and focused, and like the masculine anatomy, that's exactly the same. It's outward directed and pointed in focus. So we have glorified and prioritized the masculine energy state, and the feminine state of being receptive, of just being, of resting, of just creating gently. This doesn't get the same airtime, it doesn't get the same value, and we often think that it's not as powerful. There are so many women in my world, I've been having this conversation so much lately about femininity, and they said, yeah, but Erin, I've still got to make a living for myself. Yeah, but Erin, I still need to make money. Yeah, but Erin, I still need to run a business. And I understand all of those things, and I've had all of those fucking fears myself, and I still battle them sometimes now. But what we have to remember is that this universe exists in perfect harmony, the perfect balance of positive and negative atoms making up this perfectly synchronized universe. We have, everything is actually in perfect balance between the masculine and the feminine. It just depends on what our perspective is and what we're looking at and how we're viewing and interpreting things. So we think that we need to be in these masculine states to achieve certain things, but it's actually not true. We can be in a feminine state, particularly if we're a feminine identifying being, and have equal amounts of success, but it will come in a different way. And then we also need to look at what is our idea of success and why do we have those ideas of success? And is that part of the patriarchy planted in our minds that it needs to look a certain way? What I know to be true is that our soul came here to experience and to serve something very unique to us. And the entire universe wants you to do that thing that you're here to do, that no one else on the planet could do before you and no one else will ever do again, because you will never be seen again. There is something so unique in you and your personal contribution, whatever that may be. All of the forces in the universe will align for you to be you. So if you're a feminine identifying being, and I just got a wave of energy wash over me just then, I really feel the energetic response of some of you when you heard that. If you are a feminine identifying being, if your soul's essence is feminine, the universe needs you to be feminine. And everything that you will need for your greatest success of what you're here on the planet to do, not what your mind tells you think you should be doing, not what the patriarchy tells you is successful, but what your soul came here to do, your soul level success, which is the genuine fulfillment and contentment that comes from life when you're doing exactly what your soul came here to do. When you honor that as a feminine being and stay in your feminine, receptive, rested state, all of the forces of the universe align to support you. But if you push yourself into masculinity and try and make things happen from outside of that state of your true self, it's going to be hard, it's going to be depleting, it's unsustainable. So if I have a vast 75% of my audience is feminine, 75% of my audience says that they're in need of deep rest, we're all living in the patriarchy. How many women in my audience are living their feminine essence, are resting, are being peaceful, are allowing things to come to them from their state of magnetism rather than pushing and forcing and depleting themselves? We need to know, oh my God, the kitten. I wish you guys could see it. The kitten knows how to rest. And there's the gecko as well. So we need to know that if that is who we truly are, our greatest success comes from that state. We do not have to step out of our natural state in order to get there again. We don't have to push harder in order to find the rest that we're seeking. Rest is an absolute necessity. Now, someone shared a beautiful comment in my DMs this week on Instagram saying, thank you so much for talking about rest, and thank you for sharing so many stories where you're in the bed because I've given myself permission to do that too. And I've had an amazing Saturday, even though I'm being a solo parent right now. All my kids are downstairs getting a bit more screen time than what they normally do, but I've been able to read, I've been able to journal, I've been able to be with myself. And I've got the full body goosebumps as I share that story. I want this episode, and I want my life, to be a giant permission slip for you to give yourself the rest that you need, and to know that coming from that restful place is all good things. But we do have to be careful of the mind. We have to look for those belief systems that are preventing us from being able to do that. And we need to be mindful of any external influence that tells us otherwise, because that's what will happen. And to be perfectly frank, every time I share something on my Instagram stories about rest and how much rest I've been able to give myself, taking a week off work last week to stay in bed for the week, even this weekend was extremely restful. I have this like, here come the mums. I know a lot of mums are going to write to me, and people do write to me. And even though some of the comments are like that's so great that you get that, it's completely different when you're a single mum. Something along those lines, even if it's got a smiley face. Like, I know that isn't just a genuine offering of, gifting me with a compliment. That is a projection of them personalizing my experience and reflecting on what they don't have, and the challenges that comes with that, and how different our lives may be. And I really want to honor the differences between us and the differences in our lives. It's inevitable that we each have different lives, and our lives are all a culmination of choices that we've made up until this point. And when I take rest, and when I give myself that which I need, which means that I can be a greater of service here, that's not easy for other people to see when they feel that they don't have those choices. But that is just a perception. We actually do all have choice. We might not be able to solve all our problems at the click of a finger, but we can start to make gradual choices that lead us and put us in the position where we can get our needs met on a far deeper basis than what we are now. And everyone is going to be better off for that. I've not chosen to have children. I turn 39 next week, so I'm nearly 40 and haven't chosen to have children yet. And there's many reasons for that, but one of them is because I know that I have a much greater need for rest than most people. There's numerous reasons behind that, and I don't think we even need to justify or make excuses for it. I just know myself, and I know that sleep is one of the most powerful healing tools that I have access to, and that my life is a devotion to healing, and I'm pushing myself and I'm living on the edge all the time. I'm always trying something new and expanding and healing and investigating deep inside of myself, and that's a really tiring place to be, and I need a lot of rest as a result of that. And I know that if and when the time comes for me to have a child, I really need to set up my life in a way that I can still get as much rest as I possibly can, or otherwise my ability to be a great mum is going to be impacted. My ability to be a great partner, my ability to be a great coach and healer and podcast host, or whatever it is, whatever ways I'm contributing in the world, they're all going to be drastically impacted by me not having enough rest. So I've chosen this life for myself. And yes, I might get a lot of rest, but there's also plenty of things that I don't have that other people who do have children do have, and the privileges and the beautiful rewards that come with being a parent. So I really want to empower each of us that our life is the reflection of our choices. And when we see someone else with something that we don't have, or it's triggering us in some way, that's giving us this beautiful opportunity to reflect within and see what's going on. And what can come up as jealousy or discomfort can actually be part of what's called our light shadow, a part of ourselves that we haven't embraced yet. There's actually really good qualities, not just negative qualities. So if someone's sharing something or posting something or exhibiting some sort of privilege that you perceive that you don't have, you can actually look at that and say, wow, this person's showing me something and it's lighting me up for a reason, and it feels like a trigger, but they're showing me that there's something, this is on my path. Otherwise it wouldn't light me up like that. So if I look like I have more rest than you, or if I look like I have more privilege than you, all it is an illumination of what you can have too, and the choices that you can make. So I really want us to start thinking about that small cumulative power of choice. Our exhaustion and depletion and lack of rest is often the result of a habit of bad choice, of pushing ourselves too far for too long. And so I want us to really look at what is our capacity. What is genuinely our capacity? Not just what we think we should achieve, or how many clients a day you think you should be able to do as a coach, or how many hours of work you think you should do, because we live in a 9-to-5 Monday to Friday society, or what you should be able to achieve as a mum because this is what other mums are doing. I want you to get really clear on what is your personal capacity. What is your existence in which you'd thrive? It might seem like a far off dream right now, and what you can do is actually get a blank calendar, weekly planner, and plot it out as your dream, even if it feels so crazy far off from where you're at now. But we can start to make small cumulative choices that put us in that direction, that will add up over time, that will help us be able to create that reality. And we can create that reality because if our soul essence is feminine, then we need that level of rest and spaciousness and in just existing in that state of being, and the universe will conspire to help you get that. So if you are always feeling like you're burnt out, you've gone too far. We need to recognize our need for rest way sooner, way sooner. We need to start identifying what are the warning signs and what is it. If you write out your weekly plan now for what is your reality, and then you have a look at this dream reality of how many clients, how much work, how much downtime, how much freedom, how many dance classes, how many massages, whatever it is. Think of your dream reality with all the rest that you need. And then you compare the two and you see how vastly different they are. You're going to have to start to say no to certain things. You're going to have to start to let some things go. That might be letting go of some money if you're overworking because you think that you need money. It could be letting go of some obligations where you say yes, but it doesn't fulfill you fully to get back. You might need to ask for more help or contributions from others to make it work. You have to start getting creative. You have to get out of the mindset that you can't have it. If you just have a blatant belief that says, nope, impossible, I can't have it, that's your work to do. Big work to do around that belief, because of course you fucking can. We live in an infinite universe with infinite potential. We can all make anything happen. Just because you're not seeing it outside of yourself, just because the people in your world aren't doing it, does not mean it's not possible. Because I am lucky enough, through the culmination of the choices that I've made, to be surrounded by so many feminine beings who have so much rest, who live a life of abundance, who are living, breathing examples of the fact that you can do less and have more. But every single one of us battles our belief system. It's so nice to be surrounded by so many reflections and that we can remind each other, because every single one of us drops into fear, especially when it comes to money, survival stuff, that masculine base chakra, bricks and mortar, food on the table, fear of survival. We need to know that that's meant for us to safely drop into our feminine. So we have to have deep trust in the universe as our provider, or attract partnerships, friendships, business alignments. Like there's so many avenues in which we can get those needs met and that people can support us. We're not just individual beings with nothing. We live in an ecosystem. That's another part of our soul's essence, is that all these needs are there. We need to be able to allow them in. We need to get really clear on our boundaries of what's a genuine yes and what's a genuine no, and how comfortable do we feel to say no if we're going to let family down because we don't want to go to that family gathering because we're exhausted and we'd rather rest, or because we're going to get the kids takeaway tonight because I'm too tired to cook. And then there's all these belief systems telling me that I'm a bad mum because I've chosen to get takeaway or cook 2-minute noodles. Or if it's like me and think, oh my God, if I don't work, I'm not going to make any money. Like my brain goes catastrophic and tells me like 6 months from now, I can't pay my rent, blah. Like whatever that stuff is, that's our work to do. And we need to start to develop that depth of trust. And it comes. The crazy thing is it comes. You've got to have that faith to start moving in that direction. And you'll get the evidence that you can continue to trust. And what I said to one of my friends as I was coaching them this week, who was worried about what's going to happen 2 months from now, like everything's sorted out for the 2 months, but the brain is already in the 3rd month, like freaking out and blah, blah, blah. I said, give the next 2 months over to the goddess. Put your life entirely in the hands of the goddess and say, I am going to live in my most feminine state. I'm going to be so receptive, and I'm going to listen for the guidance, and I'll take action whenever you guide me to take action. But show me that this is possible. Show me that I'm supported. Show me that I can trust. Show me that I can follow my desire in my heart, which is to just sing. And even though I can't see how singing is going to support me financially at this point, all I feel called to do is sing. So support me and watch what happens. And magic, amazing things happen, I promise. But we have to take those first steps. If you're depleted, if you're exhausted, if you're drained, if you're pushing yourself and you're so far out of alignment and you feel like just a drop of your true self, then you can't respond to Spirit's calling, and you can't receive the guidance that you need, because you're just like this dried up sponge that's so depleted and just trying to find the life force to keep getting through. So we need to give ourselves permission to rest, for that dried up sponge to start to expand and soak up the nourishment that is available to us, to start to unpack what the patriarchy has told us we should be doing and how we should be living. And, you know, there's a real movement towards slow living. And I hate that that's a movement because we've gone so far from our traditional roots of how we should be living that we have to name this natural state of being because we live in a fast-paced society. I think fast living should be the thing and slow living should be the norm. But that's what we've needed to do, is like decondition ourselves from the modern pace of life and how many notifications are going off on our phone and how many access points people have to us. And like from the moment that we wake up till the minute that we go to bed, our energy's being pulled in every direction. When was the last time that you turned your phone off? That you didn't put the TV on? That you weren't thinking about your to-do list or what needs to happen tomorrow? And that you sat in the space of curiosity and joy and creation. And perhaps you lay outside on the grass and watch the clouds go by. Or perhaps you put on music and you just potter around. Or perhaps you create music, or you sing, or you draw, or you sit and play with your children with more presence than you've done in a long time. When was the last time you lay with a lover in silence and presence and just stared and touched each other? And when was the last time you sat down and gave yourself freedom to write in a journal and just express yourself? But how good does that feel? I can feel the energy change as I'm talking about it. What happens in our nervous system as we start to de-stress and let go of what we've picked up? Let go of the stress that we've normalized. We make space in our nervous system for pleasure. We make space in our minds for potential. To receive guidance is a very feminine thing. And so even for men or masculine identifying beings who wish to live a spiritual life, they need to really honor their feminine side to be able to receive. So when we make space to go into that receptive and restful state, there is so much to receive, and so much clarity comes, and guidance comes, and impulses come, and inspiration comes, and answers come. And those things that we were holding on to so tightly, that we were so afraid of, that we were worried about letting go of, or if it's not going to happen, or if we don't get it done in time. No one died. actually most of that didn't matter. You realize that you're holding so tightly to these ideas of what needed to be done and by when, and that is such a human construct. Such a human construct that we put ourselves under that kind of time pressure because we think by this age we need to have accumulated this much money, or we need to have this kind of relationship status, or I need to be at this point in my business, or I need to launch this at this point, or I need to have this much done for my kids in the school holidays. Spirit doesn't give a shit. Spirit doesn't want you under that time pressure. Spirit wants to inspire you and provide for you and have that energy pouring through you in order to achieve. And everything will happen in divine timing, and everything that's not important will fall away. I can think of, like, I'm a very capable person who puts myself under gigantic motherfucking expectations. If I could do everything that I think that I could do, oh my God, I can't even fathom what reality would be like if I could actually achieve everything that my mind wants me to achieve. But that's all my mind. And it's amazing to have so many ideas, and it's amazing to think about so many things that I could do or change or improve or create. But I have to be okay with not getting everything done, with not achieving everything. And rather than looking at what's not done and where the lack is, changing my mindset to see what is done and what I have achieved, and valuing rest as much as I value achievement, to value the feminine as much as I value the masculine. It's an incredible thing to be well developed in the masculine. It's a real gift that many of the women in my life have access to their beautiful feminine sides and a well-developed masculine. And I shared this on my Instagram stories as well. I would love to see way more men moving into developing their feminine as well, so that we can have this full range of potential inside of us, but that we're very conscious about the application of those things, and that we use them wisely at the appropriate time, and that we don't get stuck in the masculine moving towards burnout all the time because we haven't developed our feminine. Or not that we haven't developed it, that we don't give it the space that it needs, and we don't value it in the same way, and we don't honor it in the same way because we live in the patriarchy. Like, if you could extract the patriarchy out of the psyche of the planet right now, if you could just grab that hideous, insidious root that's implanted into everyone's mind and like all of society, just take that out. And we live in a world that's balanced between the masculine and the feminine. Imagine how different the world would be. Like, it would probably collapse or explode. It would instantaneously change, and things, in the same way that will happen in your own personal life, things that are not important will fall away. Things that you've been holding on to or putting yourself under pressure or expectations of will just decompose. Not important anymore. And all of these other parts of life which haven't been nourished and haven't been given attention will start to flourish. The feminine, the spaciousness, the receptivity, the rest, the nourishment. Women are the source of life on this planet. We live off Mother Earth. Women need to be nourished to nourish the earth. Women need to be nourished in order to create life. All of life wants that for you. Spirit wants that for you. I want that for you. Everyone that loves you wants you to be all of you. And it's there for all of us, ready for the taking. This is your giant permission slip to please, I implore you, take more rest. Block off day or days in your calendar that are just for you. Start saying no a hell of a lot more often. Uphold your boundaries, even if it means some sort of conflict as you navigate this new reality that you're building for yourself. It's inevitable. New boundaries come with some sort of external chaos, as there's a reordering of relationships. I hate how cliched it is, but it's so damn true. Put your own oxygen mask on first. Aviation is in my bones and it will never leave, unfortunately. But we need to nourish our own needs before we can serve others. And as a feminine, we want to serve, we want to devote ourselves, we want to give. But if we don't hold that same level of devotion towards ourselves first and foremost, then what we give becomes tainted and impure because it empties us, it depletes us, or we have expectations of others to return to things, like give us something in return in order to compensate for the fact that we're empty. So the change needs to happen from us. We need to nourish ourselves. We need to value the feminine in the same way that the world values the masculine. And I promise you, when you do that, the entire universe comes to your favor. Amazing things will come from you taking rest. So in summary, my friends, we live in a patriarchal world and we must value the feminine in the same way. We are cyclical beings, and at different stages in our cycle we have different needs, and we need to honor that. We cannot place ourselves under these expectations to be consistent. Our good choices add up over time, and so do our bad ones. So look at your habits. Look at why are you pushing it too far and too often? What is your true capacity? Don't wait for burnout. Start to identify the warning signs early. This is your giant permission slip, my loves. So I really hope you have enjoyed this episode of Sex and Healing. As always, I would love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram. You can come and share the love. Let me know your takeaways. Let me know what triggered you. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'm going to take a nice restful break from the podcast. So when I come back, I can't wait to share with you everything that I've been learning. Make sure you subscribe, share this episode. And until next time, my friends, laugh loud and fuck louder.